Hi friends, welcome to Rita's Paper Motif. Today I wanted to share with you part 2 of the Trifold Heritage Folio. And so in the previous video I showed you how to put together the folio, and today I want to show you a completed folio just to give you some ideas for how you can take that folio and make it your own. Before we get started though, I wanted to introduce myself to some of you that may not know me. I'm Rita. I like to create card designs, scrapbook pages, 3D projects, and as of late, I've really come to love those folios. So I create these and share them with you in hopes that it'll inspire you to create and to share with those that matter in your life. So if you're watching here on YouTube, please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you hit that notification icon, then you'll be notified of any new content. If you're watching here on Facebook or you found me on Facebook, please consider following me. And then you can know what's going on. The best place to keep in the know is at thepapermotif.com. You'll find tutorials, you'll find my online store, plus any of the ever-changing things that are happening in the paper crafting world as far as Stampin' Up is concerned. So let's go ahead and get started. So I did show you in the first video how to put together this 3-page folio, which starts with 3 8.5 by 11-inch sheets of cardstock, and then there's some scoring and some gluing together the pages to make a trifold, and you're going to see that in a minute. But I also want to share with you what instigated this vintage feel. So first of all, I love to do heritage scrapbooks. I like a genealogy, and if you've ever started a heritage scrapbook, you know that they take really a long time, because not only are you looking through old photos, sometimes you have to restore them a little, and then there's also you know, just tracing the history of that family. So it can take a very long time. But I have some siblings that have been asking questions about, you know, if I have a photo of this or a photo of that. And I thought, you know what, here's what I'd like to do. Even though I'm working on a photo album for them, it's not nearly ready to send to them. So I'm going to give them just a taste of what that folio might look like. So I found, when I was getting ready to do that, I found these pieces of scrap paper that I'd been saving. Now, you know, I have like a whole plastic sleeve of papers that I've been saving over time. Well, as you know, if you've been paper crafting for a very long time, sometimes you find paper that is not meant to be super sturdy. It's kind of like decoration. And then you might find other pieces that are a little more sturdy. And then you find some that are interesting, and you're thinking, well, I'd like to use this, but I don't know how I'm going to use it. And so all of these papers were things that or designer series paper pieces that I found, and I thought I really want to use them because they scream vintage to me. This reminds me of some wallpaper that my aunt had in her living room, and I used to always think it was super busy, but when I looked at this I went, oh no. So so that screams vintage to me. But anyway, so these were the pieces that instigated the vintage feel, and I wanted to use them rather than to toss them. Because I don't like to toss designer series paper, but sometimes hoarding it or saving it, well, it just depends on the storage you have, right? I also was looking for this time-worn type designer series paper as well. I wanted to find something like that. I wanted to find some musical paper. So as I looked through, I was finding pieces in my stash. And then I had some older, not super old, but some past paper pumpkin card pieces that I wanted to use, and I thought, well, this screams vintage to me. I think I would like it. So I did take a punch and I cut out some flowers, and I thought I'm going to use them. So that's kind of where I started. But I ended up not using this, but I'll show you what I used. And then overall, and this is obviously it's perforated. It's kind of like a sticker. So I don't know where this came from, but these colors were the things that I really was drawn to. And the buttons, they just give me an old feel. So I took all of this and plus some, I'm just showing you all of this. I also had some ephemera pieces. I used some of this, and I'll show you where I used it. And I had some of these Grossman stickers from way back. And so these are like clear. So I didn't necessarily want clear on when I used them. So I just took the sticker and put it on some basic beige cardstock and cut it out. And that gave me the stability that I wanted. I also had some other pieces. Now, I just can't tell you where I've gotten these because I've had them for a long time. And I used to belong to a couple of clubs. They've closed their doors, so you can't really get to them. But these are like some hard tag board stickers as well. So I found these. And then these are some of those pieces that have the foam on the back. And so I found some of those. So I thought I want to use them up, right? Because that's what they're for. And so all of this is what I wanted to incorporate in my folios. So I started out, I want to show you this first one. I started out with that basic folio, which is made out of Early Espresso. And this is an old paper pumpkin card front that I cut down and put on some Mossy Meadow. So when I put this together, and I'm kind of starting a little random, but hopefully it'll all fit together. When I started the folio, I realized that I needed to cover the front because that was going to be an issue down the road. And so I started doing that, and then I noticed if I was going to continue putting all this stuff in the folio that these spines were going to need a little reinforcement. So I did that. So I cut, these ended up to be like 3" by 8.5, and I just scored them so that they would have that 3/4 of an inch spine there, and then I just used those. So they're behind, this paper covers it up and this covers it up, but I just glued those on as reinforcement, and I'm glad I did that. And then I just thought, well, how am I going to close it? Because at first I put some Velcro on the back of this card front to close it, but that wasn't strong enough to keep it closed, because you'll see when I open it up, it's got a lot of stuff inside. So I went ahead and did the ribbon closure, and this is old ribbon. I can't remember, it's from Stampin' Up, but it's been a while. It has like a burlap look. So I had just a little bit, but enough to use it as a closure. So I just went ahead and used that. So that is, it's glued underneath this cover in the back, and then it's also adhered behind this little picture, or this little piece of ephemera right here. Then I took my hot glue gun and I did some buttons. So I have a lot of buttons, and remember, I'm kind of thinking of this when I'm decorating it. So I went ahead and I used some lace. And I want to tell you about this lace. I'm trying to hurry because I don't want this to be a super long video. But you can buy this lace. It used to get it at the fabric store, like in the binding and hemming section. But I've had this for a while, but you can definitely use this. And so that's what I used here. I just hot glued it, and then some ribbon, and then I have some charms. Now these charms I got off of Amazon, so they come in a little bag like this. I just think they're cute. And then this charm, this part of the charm is kind of of a memory thing because this is one of my mom's earrings. So she lost the other dangly pearly thing. So she only had one earring. And this is going to be for my sister. So I thought, you know what? We'll just have a piece of my mother on this charm. So I thought that was kind of neat. And then I had this metal thing, and it just, can't remember what it says, the words inside, but I just put the buttons over it, and I just kind of put buttons everywhere, right? So let's go ahead and open it. And oh, also this is some DSP from the oh, I just forgot. I'm so sorry. From the Toil. Autumn Toil. So this is part of that I used here. So it has kind of like a grainy look to it, and then it's just mounted on some Early Espresso. But you can see that I tore the Early Espresso to give it like a very rustic feel. And then I took my this is a blending handle with a Velcro, and I took this with some Early Espresso, and I just inked around the edges to give it that kind of worn look. All right, let's go ahead and open it. So I didn't really want to share with you these pictures because I don't have permission to. So I am going to cover some of them up. But like I said, this is for my sister. So her baby picture lives right in here. And I love this frame. This comes from the Framed Florets. It's a die. I did cut it twice. Now I put some of our window sheets behind it, but on the next folio that I show you, I didn't. So if you don't have it, don't worry, it's not a big deal. I think it looks just as well without the acetate. But I didn't glue all of it down so I could slip that photo in there. And then this is part of the stuff that came, that I had, the pieces of designer series paper that I had with this, and it just has a little saying there. So I put some random ephemera there. And this is that pocket that I show you how to put on there in the first video. And so inside that are some tags. And these are tags of her family and her husband, and they just sit right in there. And this one has a charm on it. And then I did have some, they're like little stickers, and so I used those to look like those metal corner things. So I just put those on there. And then I did something a little different. In the first folio, you'll see that everything comes out like this, right? But what I did was I added a few things. So I added this flap here. So on this that was just flat when we made the folio, I added a pocket, and I'm going to have some pictures that are going to go in here. They're pictures of all of us kids kind of just you know, fooling around, and they'll just sit in this pocket. And then I found this ephemera, and I thought, well, that's kind of cute, so I just put it right there. I had these old brads that I used right here. Sorry again. I had these old brads, and so I thought I'm just going to use them. And so I did that just to bring some interest. And this is part of that old DSP that I don't know where I got. And on this flap, I put her wedding picture, and then it just flaps open. And also there is her announcement when she got married. And so I just glued that on there, and I had some little flowers, fabric flowers that I just decorated that with. And so this has a magnet. Now that keeps it closed and so it doesn't flap all over the place. I don't normally use magnets in my folios because someone made me aware that you shouldn't use magnets with children or people that have pacemakers. And so if I'm going to be given this just out and I don't really know that much about the person, I do refrain from using magnets because I just don't want to go there. So I just usually use Velcro. But I know that that's not going to be a situation for my sister. And I think her and I have had a conversation about that. So I'm sure that she will be, I'm sure she's okay with it. So anyway, so here is that one flap that would have been in your folio. Now, this is where we would have pulled it out. So this part that we scored. So this was a whole 8.5 by 11, and we scored it here to make this spine, and then we scored it here so it can bend. Well, I decided to put something right here, and what this is this is the sheet that is her like descendant sheet, so it lists her name and then all of her ancestors. Now on this folio I am only doing paternal because obviously this isn't the whole goal of doing this is so that it can be light and easy, and when you start putting maternal and paternal, it would just be too much. So so anyway, this is paternal. So I did just take a piece of basic white, actually basic beige, and I folded it. So I took a piece, pretend this is basic beige, and I just folded it into like this. And then I opened it up and I took this stamp. I'll show you this stamp right here. This is a very old stamp. It comes from the stamp set Very Versailles, or Versailles. And I use Memento Black, but you could definitely use Early Espresso. And I just stamped it all over to kind of make my own designer series paper. And then I took again, or then I tore, so once it's folded like this, I tore these edges at a diagonal. So what happens when you do that is you have this kind of rough edge, and then you can just take your ink blender. Now I still have some ink on here. You can take your ink blender and just ink it, and it gives it that kind of old feel. And so that's what I did right here. And then I did go ahead and attach it together. And then I had this as part of some ephemera I had. And so I just put that over that. And then this is from a die set. I love this die set. I really wanted to use it more, and on my regular scrapbooks I do use it a lot. But this is the Tag to Go dies, so you can find it in our annual catalog. But that's what I used the metallic foil, and so I actually die cut. So I see I have the die out, but I did die cut. No, oh, let's see. I wanted to show you that. So when you use this, this is the die. So when you cut it, you get two of these paper clips. And so I did just go ahead and use both of them. I put them together so it would give it a substantial weight. And then I just put that there. And then this is some old random ribbon. It's kind of bulky, kind of, I don't know why I have it. It isn't something I would probably gravitate towards, but I just put it in there and it's not attached, so it can just be taken off easily. So anyway, this is that side, but when, and here's the other parts too, but these are added. So anyway, so from here back is part of that fold. Then when you fold it back, let's see, it goes like this. So then when you fold it open, you would normally just have this part, right? But what I did is I added these little flaps on here. So these are just flaps, and then I just gave it a 1/2 inch of a score mark, and then I covered where they sit, where they're adhered, this covers it up. So this is going to have pictures of my parents on here, and they're black and white. So I just put this here because I still need to make it smaller so it'll fit. It's actually going to fit there. And then I have one of both my mother and father. And this is part of a die that came from the Peace on Earth die set. So it makes a great frame. But so I'll have my father and my mother here, and then I'll have pictures of them on the back. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little pocket here, or it's actually just going to be a band, like a belly band. And inside is going to be a note that my father sent to my uncle to ask him to be his best man. So it's in his handwriting, and you know that's one of the things that we like to add to scrapbooks is a sample of the person's handwriting, right? Because it just gives it just makes it authentic, I think. And then these are the pockets that we put in that when we did the original folio and put it together. So there are 3. There's 1, 2, and 3. And they all fit in this portion right here. And so I'm using these for tags, but here's what my thing is so this top tag is going to be my paternal grandfather. This will be my paternal grandmother, and then this will just be some, you know, other kinds of tags. But for right now, I did, and I'm going to leave these also. I put in this tag. I made it for my sister. So it's kind of interactive, right? So it'll have some journaling. So it'll have some notes about these pictures. But on the other side, it has like a little questionnaire, like, what do you remember? And so this is part of that designer series paper that I found. So I just cut it out and put it on this Early Espresso. And then this is a tag that I just had in some odds and, Brad, that I had in some odds and ends. And so I used that. And then I just made this. There's a stamp with a tag to go. I am so sorry. I had to sneeze. With the stamp set there, you can make lines. You can stamp lines, and that's what I did there for journaling. This is just some of the stickers that I found in that ephemera. And then this is just twine that I put here. And so I'm going to leave this here, and she can, you know, pull it out, and if she wants to work on that, she can. And then this is just another tag. It's going to have a picture on here, and then it just has this cute thing where I can journal some memories. So that's going to go right there. And then this is the waterfall that we created. So this is going to have, I'm going to put some basic beige on here. And then these are going to be my great-grandparents' pictures on here. And I'll show you in the other one how I decorated that. But that's where these live. And these pictures are smaller, and they're black and white. And that's one of the things with older pictures is sometimes you don't get like the best picture. You have to kind of work with what you have. But it definitely gives it character. And they're definitely good enough that we can, you know, see what our ancestors look like. So I'll have my paternal grandfather's parents, so his father and mother, and then my paternal's mother's mother's father, and my paternal's mother's mother here. And then I'm just going to leave that just like that. I'll put some journaling right here on the bottom. And then there's also room for journaling on the back here. So I know that this particular family, at least on my paternal great-grandfather, that he was adopted. And so that might be a great note to put in there. And he also served in the Civil War with Taft, President Taft. So those are kind of notes that are just tidbits. I mean, they're just little tidbits that are kind of fun to share with the family. So those will all go here. And then, so this is that little folio that I did. I did not decorate the back on this because I felt like this has really been decorated. And I've kind of actually felt a little bit like maybe it's decorated enough. But anyway, so this, I'm going to finish it with the pictures. Now they're all ready to go. But when I was decorating this, I did try to do a video, but you know what? It was so long that it would be unrealistic to ask anybody to sit through. So I'm showing you the finished version. Now, another one that I did has a different feel to it. It's not as, this is a little bulky, I guess, and it has a lot of bulky decorations. This is a little more streamlined. And what I did with this is I wanted a belly band to close this. And so this is just a little, like a cleaner look is what I would say. And so I did just take the basic beige and make like a card front on a belly band. And I used some of that ephemera that I had to decorate the front of it. So you can see just some odds and ends that I had. Some of this ribbon, I really like the color, but I do not know where it came from. And then some more ephemera. Now these little foliage here is from the Bow Punch. It is retired, but we have a lot of dies in our stamp sets that you can get that same sort of like sprig feel for. And so this is Mossy Meadow, because Mossy Meadow is the green that you're going to see through and through here. And then I did some gold, textured gold. I used this punch part to get that gold, just to give it a little feel. Now you see this white part that is gold. These are some of those gold foiled frames that are also in, I believe these were online exclusives, but there are all kinds of shapes, and you actually have those cutouts that you can use, so they're really great. So that's what I used here on that. And then this paper that you see that looks like time-worn type is what we call it, is basic beige. And I took this stamp again. Now we also have, I want to tell you that we do have one of these stamps online. It comes in a round shape, which would work just as well. And it also, when you buy that set, it there is a portion that goes for the to breast cancer. So just so you know that. But what I did is I just took a piece of basic beige and I just stamped it. I just, you know, I did this out of, I did Memento. Sorry, I grabbed the Early Espresso, but I did the Memento. And, you know, I just started stamping. And so I know that this is the top, and I just kind of did it random all throughout. I tried not to overlap. I know I did there, but I tried not to overlap. And so that's what I used throughout. So I just did it random. And then this is also part of that very old stamp set. But again, you can use any stamp set. I just used this. It just occurred to me when I was doing this, this is what I wanted to do. So I didn't want to order and then have to wait for it to come to me, right? So I just used it. So then I just took this stamp. I took some Mossy Meadow ink. And I stamped lightly because I didn't, well, that's too light. I stamped lightly because I didn't want this to be dark green, but I did want it to show up. So that's how it looks, right? And so I did that also throughout the page, and then I cut it as I needed. Now those cutting portions of those sizes will be in the blog, and so you can get those. But then when you open it up, it's a little bit different than the others. So I put like a corner pocket Now this whole folio, the beginning, the base of it, was inspired by May Made It, and she also did put a corner pocket on hers. I did deviate from her design because I put different things in mine that she didn't put, and I did change a few of the measurements. But here we'll sit. This is going to be for a male sibling. I did put the birth certificate, so this is blank, but I'm going to put the birth certificate. And when we were young, we were also dedicated probably, I think, around 18 months of age. And so that's going to be, there'll be a copy of that too, so that he'll know who his godparents were. And then I'll probably decorate this with a bow or charm or something. I haven't quite decided, but hopefully I can get these off in the mail by Saturday. They're not going to make it by Christmas, but they already know that it's on its way. And then I'm just going to put his baby picture here. Now, he doesn't know that I have one of his baby pictures, so that is going to be the surprise, because he thinks that he doesn't have a baby picture. So, but he does. And I actually found his baby book, so there's a lot of information that he's going to be privy to that he didn't know. But this was also something, remember I showed you some of that ephemera that I found. It said the word baby, so I put it here. And then this music paper, I also found a whole, it's really weird, I found a whole like little book of old music sheets. It's kind of slick. It's not very sturdy, so you can't use it as cardstock, but I think it works here. So there's that. And then, you know, remember this is one whole side, so when you open it up, you would have this side and then this side. So what I did was, this is going to be where my parents are, right? Pictures of them, journaling on the back. Here's going to be where that note that my father wrote to my uncle asking him to be his best man. So you can see I did some more of that typewritten stamp in the green foliage. And then when you open it up, here are some tags. That this one is glued down, or it's got dimensionals on it. And this, I just found this. It's just random. But these tags have Velcro on the back, so they can be removed. They'll have some journaling here, and they'll have pictures on the front. So both of these can be removed, and these will be, you know, just some random pictures, probably of us as siblings. And then here we come with the grandparents, right? So I did change this up in that I only put 2 pockets on here instead of 3. And so I'm going to put my paternal grandfather and grandmother in here, right here. And then I will put the maternal grandfather and grandmother in here. Now I haven't put a what I'm going to put here, because I also want to put something on the back to make it a little more sturdy, because it's a tag and it's meant to be moved around. And also I wanted to tell you about these openings right here. So I did find in some of my stash, now remember, it's always great to look through your stash, right? When I first started out scrapbooking, I remember that you know, dimension was a big thing. So somehow we had these staples, and they say love, or they have some print on them, and then this little stapler that came with it. And so I just keep this loaded with this. I'm going to use that on here just to give it a little, I'm probably going to use that color just to give it a little interest. So that's why they don't have anything. Again, this is something I found in my stash. And then, of course, these I found also in my stash. Now, I did want to share with you, I think it's this one. Let's see. Well, I did find a package that has a bunch of, it had like cars. Oh, here they are. See, I've used them. They had cars. It had, was in it. So it has like some, what they call a vintage. Some of it I didn't think was so vintage, but so some hearts and stuff. So I just used that. This, I'm going to put a really small picture. It's actually a wedding picture that's going to fit. It's really tiny. It's, I don't know if you've seen them, but it's like a sprocket picture. So these actually makes stickers. So they come, so when you take a picture with your phone, then you can send it to your sprocket, and these come out like sticker form. So that's kind of what's going to go right here. And then here are the great-grandparents, right? So I use some of that ephemera. These are stickers. Now, when I go to put the picture, it will be able to fit there because this isn't stuck all the way down. And the pictures are just almost this size, a little bit smaller. So it'll fit right there, and it can fit right in there. So I did just decorate it. There'll be some journaling on the back. And so this would be my great paternal grandfather, no, just one great, and his wife. And then this will be my paternal grandmother's father and her her mother. So that'll be there. I'm going to have to move this down though, because when you go to flip it up, this sticker gets in the way. See, it doesn't let me flip. And then I did find this part right here. It just was random. Oh, this is a picture. Okay, I don't want to lose that. All right, so yeah, so this was random. And here's one of those paper clips. I haven't glued it in, but I'm going to use that here too. So you could it's kind of good that it wasn't glued in, so I could just show you. Well, this wasn't, there we go. So yeah, I'll just kind of maybe attach it on the back so it has a little movement. And then I did something that I didn't do on the other one, and that is I made a pocket on this side, and inside would be some, so this is kind of not very sturdy, but on the inside are some tags that my sibling can remove. And there'll be anything that can be pictures, it could be some journaling, it'll just be fun stuff. And then I found this, if you remember, is just like this one that I used on my sister's. So I just put like some ribbon through and just put it on there just like that. And then, yeah, so I'll finish it. So the pictures that go on here are like this size, they're black and white. And so you can see this is plenty, this is good enough for it. And then we have that belly band to keep the album together, because that was a real thing that I thought about, and that is you want it has so much stuff in it that you do want to keep it together, but you don't want to break the spine, because that's what keeps the structure. So a belly band is perfect. It keeps it closed, but it's not like trying to form anything. So that works. And then the ribbon, of course, works as well. So this is what I wanted to do, is I wanted to show you how I put all of these together. Again, if you want to see measurements, check out my blog. It should be there by Sunday. So this is Thursday, so it should be on there by Sunday. And you know, I hope that you'll visit the folios. They're really fun. Yeah, so visit me on the blog to get the directions, and also hope you'll try it and know that there is no wrong way. It's a creative thing, so whatever works for you is a good thing, and it's a good way to use up some of your stash. So thanks for joining me, and I hope you all have a great weekend and a Merry Christmas. Bye now.